Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Melissa if you're new here, and for today's video I'm really excited to show you my November favorites. These are some plants in my collection that either have started growing well, they put out a new leaf, which I just absolutely just adore and made me fall in love with them even more. Sorry for the brightness of my plant room. I had my camera facing the other way, but the sun coming in right now is just super strong. So I have the light to the back of me, which I think is okay. I don't think the light coming in is making this washed out or too contrasty. So I think this angle is good for this video. So yeah, I'm gonna go grab some of my plants that I just adore right now, and I can't wait to show you. All right, up first is this gorgeous plant. I don't know if you remember when I imported this from Root Greenhouse. I did that import a couple months ago. And so this is the Monstera escalado, and this is the first new leaf in my care. It pushed out probably a little over a week ago, closer to 2 weeks. Isn't it gorgeous? It is so much bigger than all the other import leaves. Those are the 4 import leaves there. And I can already tell the stem here is a little bumpy, so I feel like it could easily push another new leaf soon, which is crazy. I don't know the growth rate on Monstera escalado. I feel like most of my Monsteras are decently, I feel like they grow pretty well. So that would be pretty cool to see another new leaf on this plant. I just have a thing for holy leaves like this, Monstera adansonii, you name it. I just love these plants, and I think this is absolutely gorgeous. This leaf is pretty huge, and I have it on one of Thickley's grow poles. This is the thicker one, the larger one. This plant has done amazing in here since potting it up and having it go through that acclimation process. It's doing well, and I'm just so excited. This is probably going to be my new favorite plant once it pushes a few more leaves. I already know, I just adore this plant so much already. Okay, next up is a plant that I still struggle with a little bit, and this is an Anthurium. This is Anthurium warocqueanum. And it's recently started growing a tiny bit better, although I do still have some leaves that have some crispy, dry edges. But so far, this plant has been doing well. And the only thing that I'm trying to do is to try and keep it a little bit more hydrated, but it's so hard because my Anthuriums live in my IKEA cabinet, and everything, you guys know, dry out. It just dries really fast in there with the temperature. I think I had over fertilized it at one point too, because I was trying to do slow release and another fertilizer on top, and I think it was too much. But it's doing well. This is one of the newer leaves, and it is so much bigger. I have not gotten this plant to grow this big of leaves yet. I do have 2 more growth points coming in, so I'll have 2 more leaves, so I'll be excited to see those. It has not had an inflow yet. And yeah, there's a lot of algae growth on there because of the highlight it gets. But I'm doing my best to keep it a little bit more hydrated. It's in a chunky mix, and it's top dressed with moss. The mix is, I believe I use sow soils for this because it looks like I can see some of sow soils mixed in here. And you can see it has, quite a bit of roots in there. So yes, probably my hardest Anthurium, but I love the dark velvety leaves on this. It's gorgeous. So I'm hoping it continues to do well for me. I have loved it lately just because it's done well within the past month, I would say. So I'm gonna be eager to see the next leaves to see what they look like. I'm hoping they stay nice and beautiful like this. So if you have an Anthurium warocqueanum and it does well for you, or if you have any insights into your care, let me know down below. I would love to know how other people care for theirs. I honestly need to look up the care on and see what other people are doing. I just haven't done that yet. I feel like lately it's done well, so I'm happy with that, and I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing and try and keep it a little bit more hydrated. So yes, that is that one. Isn't that gorgeous? Next up, it's going to be my Monstera Constellation. You guys have seen this on my channel a few times. I actually grew this from a node. I did include this in a favorites video before, but this is the new leaf, and it is so beautiful. It just made me fall in love with a Monstera Constellation. Look at that gorgeous leaf, you guys. Isn't that beautiful? With that creamy spot here. So this one I repotted about 2 months ago. It's in soul soils, and I have slow release in here, and it's doing well. I feel like it's not ready to push a new leaf anytime soon. But the leaf size has sized up quite large. Do you see that's the latest leaf? And it had 2 fenestrations, and this one has quite a bit more fenestrations. Do you see that? So the leaf size is, you know, pretty significant. So it definitely appreciated that repot, I would say, for sure. And I can see the roots. There is lots of new roots growing in here. And I love it. I love all Monsteras, but you know, a Monstera Thai is a large form and they don't revert because they're stable variegation. So that's a plus, I guess. You know, you're always guaranteed to have variegation on each leaf, which is amazing. I honestly can't wait for this plant to get huge one day. I'm gonna be so excited to have one pretty large. So I think it'll do okay in this pot for a little while. I want to keep an eye on the roots. I don't want to let it get like super root bound, but I'm only watering when it's like mostly dry. I'm trying not to let it get dry for too long because I don't want it to stress and get root rot. I do have another Monstera Thai in my collection. It's a baby one, so it's not nearly as big, but I'm excited to have them both. I probably won't keep them both. At some point down the road, I'll probably get rid of the other one. But this one is beautiful and I love that big new leaf. It is just gorgeous and I love it. Next up is my beautiful pink princess philodendron. I am so incredibly lucky with the genetics on this plant, you guys. So incredibly lucky. The newest leaf is gorgeous. Do you see that pink there? Every leaf has such gorgeous variegation. It is a stunning pink princess. I could not be more lucky. I actually found this from Facebook Marketplace of all places, and it started out with 1 pink leaf and 3 green leaves. I'll have to put a picture of it when I first got it. And you can see there's empty spots here. All those leaves died. After I moved, this plant went into a little bit of shock, which was kind of surprising, and it lost, I would say, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 leaves yellowed and died. This one is one of the remaining ones on the bottom, which is interesting. That one didn't go for some reason. And it does have a little baby all pink one down in here, like a second tiny little baby growing. And then it stabilized, and each new leaf is beautiful, honestly. I just have a lot of half moon and bright, vibrant pink variegation. I don't do anything special with this plant. I will say I try not to let it get as dry because I feel like that helps with the new growth, especially when a new leaf is unfurling. I feel like in my space, plants were drying out so fast that I was letting her get a little too dry, and then I lost a couple leaves. I probably lost 2 or 3 leaves in that process. She definitely would have been more full if I would have paid attention to that. So I'm trying to do better about keeping an eye on the new growth. And if I notice it starting to get stuck, I will mist it more. And it's not necessarily the humidity, because in my plant room, you guys know it's pretty warm and humid in here most days. So it's not just the humidity. I find they still get stuck all the time. So I definitely just try to keep her watered, and I do let her dry out most of the time, or get mostly dry, but I try not to let her get dry for too long. But she's gorgeous. I have just loved her lately, and especially with this new leaf that just came out. I was watering her the other day and I'm like, oh, this plant is so gorgeous and I'm so lucky to have her. I just can't with this plant. So I cannot wait to get even more growth and to see how she does for me. The next plant is going to be my Pileia Peppermint Whities, and this plant is so full and fluffy now. I did a video on this plant way back on my channel before I moved. This was probably easily 8 months or so ago, and I talked about my care, and I actually repotted this plant last December in another video on my channel. I had noticed like it was doing a lot of yellowing, and so I repotted it like late winter. And this is the same plant, and look, you guys, look at how happy and full and fluffy and bouncy she is. She's done really, really well in my space here, and I can contribute that to just the overall environment and probably slow release fertilizer. So I have 2 main vines in here. I have the main vine staked, and I have another vine over here that you can't really make out because of all the babies. She is staked. And then I have another vine here, a baby growing. I have so many babies. I actually took 2 out and started 2 separate little plants growing. But yeah, she is so full and fluffy and growing like crazy. I haven't lost any leaves on this plant since I moved. And she used to yellow and give me so much trouble all the time. And I feel like the only thing that I really do now is I just keep her watered. She is pretty root bound in here, so I probably have to repot her at some point. So she gets dry pretty quickly and I have to keep her watered. But the stems will droop if she gets too thirsty, but I try not to let her get to that point. So I'm trying to keep her watered about twice a week right now. And then with the weather, it's so crazy here. So I haven't had a winter here in Savannah yet. And it's like 70 degrees outside today. And so my plant room is like 80 degrees. And so I feel like it's gonna be challenging to get through these next couple months here in Savannah, because it'll get to like 70 something and then it'll go down to like 40s. And so some days my plants are drying out quicker than others. I don't know, I'm struggling trying to like find balance in watering from twice a week to once a week, but then once a week isn't enough for some plants, so then I have to keep watering some twice a week. So it's hard finding that balance. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now. But yeah, so far I'm watering her like about twice a week and I love her lately. I don't know what it is. I think it's just because she's gotten so full and fluffy that she's done well for me. So I love this plant so much. The next plant I'm going to talk about is a common one. This is a Hoya Polynura, and I don't really talk about or show Hoyas that much on my channel. I have like a love-hate relationship with Hoyas. I love them and I think they're really easy to care for, but they're not my favorite plant genus just because I love my like Monsteras and my Philo so much more. Because I feel like if Hoyas disappeared from my collection, I honestly wouldn't be too upset. I know that probably sounds bad, and I do like love my Hoyas, don't get me wrong. I love them and I think they're beautiful. But if I had to choose my other ones over Hoyas, I would definitely choose my other ones. So I still love my Hoyas, don't get me wrong. It's just, they're just not my favorite. But this Hoya has spoken to me recently. This is my Polynura. It actually has 3 vines, and this started out as 1 vine in a really small plant. And I have not like propagated this at all. I was actually going to. I was going to cut and propagate this main vine, but then it like grew one node on its own. It grew this one on its own, and then it grew this node recently. So it's like propagating itself. I have heard of these Hoyas doing this. They'll like self-propagate and grow nodes and fill the pot out. So you really don't have to even propagate it. I like the way it looks right now, so I'm not going to propagate it, I don't think. And eventually I really would love the variegated version. I think it's really pretty. It's one of the Hoyas that to me doesn't really seem like a Hoya. I mean, I know it's just an interesting leaf shape. I do love it a lot, so I'm excited to see how it does for me. These new leaves are beautiful. This node just literally shot out not that long ago. So I find this Hoya to be pretty easy. It is in a small pot, so it dries out quickly. So again, I'm watering this one probably twice a week. It actually hangs in my window, so with the sun beaming on it, it dries really quickly. So yeah, twice a week for this one, and it is beautiful. Next up, you guys, I have to show you my Marble Queen pole. Hopefully I can get her all into frame here without spilling her. So this one, of course, is probably my favorite this month overall, saving the best for last. She's doing amazing. So this is the leaf in the video that hadn't unfurled before I chopped her. So I chopped her, it's been almost a week and a half ago, and she's doing amazing. She has straightened back out. She is attaching into the pole with new aerial roots. It's honestly, you guys, it's like she was never even chopped, which makes my heart so happy to see her doing well. I love this plant so much, and I can't wait to get bigger and bigger leaves. If you have not started a Marble Queen on a pole, what are you waiting for? I started this plant on the pole in January, so she is a super fast climber, and she has not yellowed or killed like any leaves at all. Every leaf seems happy and she's doing amazing. I'm just so happy with her, and I can't wait to see more growth. I feel like she should push a new leaf out of here soon. That's kind of what I was worried about. Normally she pushes a new leaf before one finishes, but I don't see that she has pushed it yet. But this leaf didn't like get compromised in any way from the chop. So I just love these top leaves. They are so gorgeous. Look at those. Aren't they beautiful? So yes, very proud, happy moment with this plant, and honestly my favorite plant this month. So I just can't wait to see how she does for me, and I'll keep you guys updated. But I had to include this in my November favorites, of course. So I think this is going to be it for my favorites this month. Thank you so much for watching. I honestly can't wait to see how my plants do over like December here, depending on the weather. I feel like my plants are going to continue to grow and do well, which I'm really excited about. So yes, thank you guys so much for watching and being here, and I will talk to you later.